Hi, my name is Heeryon Cho, and I am an assistant professor at the Humanities Research Institute associated with Chung-Ang University located in Seoul, South Korea. Over the years, I've worked with various data to solve specific tasks in my research. Examples include tasks like using sentiment dictionaries to classify positive and negative product reviews, applying machine learning techniques to smartphone accelerometer data to recognize human activities such as walking, running, and sitting, and analyzing open answer pictogram interpretation words that contain cultural differences to realize better pictogram retrieval. As a researcher who spends a lot of time analyzing data, I've come to notice a distinct trend in recent years, a trend of majority versus majority opposition forming in many areas of our society. Take gender. There is an increasing tension between male and female, with masculine and feminine views colliding on a planetary level. Then there is the generation gap, where the old and young do not see eye to eye on many issues. For quite some time, the old espoused conservative, prudent, and slow way of life, while the young upheld progressive, bold, and fast-paced change. The two distinct stances of the old and young continue to this day, but nowadays I find that the young no longer respect the views of the elderly as much as they used to. The long-standing opposition of political parties is no exception. The standoff between Republicans and Democrats is more fierce than ever in the United States, and a similar situation is unfolding in South Korea, with two major political parties splitting the nation in half. The re-emergence of artificial intelligence has pitted humans against machines, creating a large pool of supporters of AI and also an equally large pool of opponents of AI. Even in academia, the conflict between academic disciplines is salient, with those in science and engineering attempting to expand their territory, while those in arts and humanities striving to retain their domain. Today's academia is reminiscent of a similar but reverse situation that sparked a two cultures debate over half a century ago. In 1959, British scientist and novelist C.P. Snow gave a lecture titled The Two Cultures, where he argued that the science and the humanities, which represented the intellectual life of the Western society, had become split into two cultures, and that this division was a major impediment to solving the world's problems. Snow condemned the British educational system as having over-rewarded the humanities at the expense of science and engineering, despite the fact that the technological advances the science and engineering has made contributed to winning World War II for the Allies. He continued that such undermining of science and engineering deprived the British elites of adequate knowledge to manage the modern scientific world. Fast forward to the year 2020, the situation of the present day is now reversed, and more emphasis is placed on science and engineering than arts and humanities. Although the success of the so-called Fourth Industrial Revolution hinges on the sufficient supply of new workforce equipped with technological prowess, understanding technology alone will not suffice to realize the happy future that we all envision. Ethical failures that we witness in technology-based services from time to time warn us of the adverse effects that we can all be exposed to. For example, an online conferencing system that we now frequently use malfunctioned when a black user attempted to use the virtual background. The system completely erased his head off as shown in the image. Such bias toward race, gender, religion, or group of people can always creep into the services that we use through biased data and also by omitting necessary testing before the product release. We now live in a world where data is constantly being monitored and analyzed, and various machine learning techniques are being applied to data to aid our decision making. Intended or not, we're continuously being served with new data and information during this data life cycle, and an invisible hand that emerges as a byproduct of this cycle has the potential to nudge us into a locked direction without us even knowing. Although how we consume data can be as harmless as watching a movie on an online platform or buying a t-shirt from an internet shopping mall, it can also be as detrimental as causing a car crash by completely relying on an autopilot system. Because the current society seamlessly mixes data into its surroundings, we unconsciously consume and produce data every day. But if the majority of us consume from a narrow choice of data, then this could trigger negative side effects that we have never intended. For example, if we all use a single car navigation system to navigate the road, then congestion will bound to happen. If we keep on reading posts and tweets that contain partial opinions, then our already narrow views will be reinforced further. Social media are the culprit of this reinforcement cycle since they take advantage of our tendency to favor information that confirms and strengthens our beliefs and values. The underlying mechanism that fuels the current data consumption is the recommendation algorithm, which does benefit the user and the service provider, but in doing so causes unintended side effects, like the cases that I just described. The examples of majority versus majority opposition given at the beginning of this talk have become severe in recent years, and I think the thoughtless use of the recommendation algorithm is partly to blame. Think of what other state-of-the-art algorithms can do when unconsciously yet aggressively deployed into our society in the near future. Therefore, conscious efforts to prevent side effects and misuse of data-driven technology must be instituted in all steps of the data cycle, and every stakeholder, including the service provider and the user, must actively engage in the prevention of data misuse. One example of such effort was demonstrated by a major Korean online portal when it closed off its comments section of the entertainment news and sports news page after a female K-pop singer and a female athlete committed suicide. The slander and abusive comments targeted toward Korean celebrities have continuously spanned this comment section for some time. Incremental enforcement of such industry initiatives can veer our society in the right direction to bring about a positive change, and as researchers we too can contribute to this change. Since the overarching theme of this year's conference is the impact of artificial intelligence on human and society, artificial intelligence and future society, mechanized human, humanized machine, I would like to give you two ideal examples of positive data usage that can empower people. The first example is a medical exoskeleton which helps people with mobility disorders to become upright and mobile. It is a positive example of using data to implement a mechanized human, and many assistive technologies that aid people with diverse physical needs are also good examples of ideally implemented mechanized humans. The second example is a personal AI chatbot that encourages emotionally distressed people with anxiety and loneliness. Chatbots have come a long way since the days of the first chatbot, Liza, and feeding abundant data into the state-of-the-art sentence generation technology can now bring about humanized machines that provide focused companionship to people. These successful examples of mechanized humans and humanized machines are the result of multidisciplinary collaboration among researchers from diverse backgrounds, which was precisely what C.P. Snow aimed for. Active utilization of cross-disciplinary knowledge also contributes to the realization of good data-driven technology. For example, Arts and humanities researchers are now incorporating various data analysis techniques, such as topping models, to analyze large volumes of humanities data. And science and engineering researchers are giving ethical consideration to the repercussions of the newly developed technology. So, based on what we witnessed so far, I would like to conclude this talk by emphasizing the importance of harmonizing the two cultures in this age of data driven technology and call for a concerted, multidisciplinary effort in making the next available technology thoughtful. Thank you for your time.